Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Shyam Prasad and I'm a marketing specialist with ManageEngine. Hope you all had a great morning and we hope to add more value to your day with part 1 of this webinar series, Securing Your Organization from Cyber Attacks, presented by ManageEngine. Well, the title would have rung a bell in all your minds because there would be very few minds in the IT industry which would not have been exposed to the words cyber attacks, ransomware, or malware over the course of the past couple of months. If you go talk to your little nieces and nephews, don't be surprised if they start uttering words like WannaCry and Petya. That's how it has become now. These ransomware have become household names. They've had us all shook up for sure with the havoc they've wreaked across the world. Organizations all over are now unsure of how secure their IT really is. They are introspecting. And our experts here tell us that this is only the tip of the iceberg. The world might be in for a deluge of more cyber attacks. Imagine. And it's clear that no one standalone security solution like a firewall or an antivirus is going to cut it. It's just not going to be enough to help you secure your IT. A comprehensive approach is the need of the hour. So when we at ManageEngine put our heads together to think about how organizations such as yours can secure yourselves against all these malware threats lurking out there, we could clearly see the need for a two-pronged approach. Two key things you can do. And that is exactly what we'll be dealing with in the two parts of this webinar series. Part 1 will be all about handling attacks. Part 2, preventing attacks, will be about ensuring you leave no room and no vulnerabilities at all for the possibility of an attack. For part 1 today, which deals with handling attacks, we've got Siddharth here, who will be the presenter. Siddharth is a product specialist for IT security solutions. He'll be taking you through how auditing and alerting with an SIEM solution can help detect and mitigate any imminent attacks. He'll be starting off with an overview of the current cybersecurity space, touch upon these recent attacks, tell you about the need for a SIEM solution and how it works, how it helps you secure your network through auditing, and how it would help you mitigate a cyber attack. And the whole time, he'll be using relevant examples and cases to help you understand better. So this would be our agenda for the day. We'd love to have your active participation throughout this webinar. So if you have any questions, please just use the chat box in your GoToWebinar panel. Simply type in your questions and hit send. At the end of the presentation, we will take as many of your questions as possible. If we've still got more questions coming in and we happen to run out of time at the end of the session, do not worry. We'll collect all these questions and email the answers to you within 2 working days. And now, without further delay, over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, Shyam. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. So my name is Siddharth, and I'm going to be your presenter for today's webinar. So the reason why we've chosen this topic for the webinar must be quite apparent because cyber attacks and security has become the most important thing in IT today. And the fact that we have got so many registrants for the webinar shows that whether you're an administrator or an analyst or a manager, you understand the importance of cybersecurity. And I'm sure even the spate of the ransomware attacks has probably prompted you all to reassess and reevaluate your security systems. So my objective for today's webinar is to share some knowledge and help equip your IT with the right set of tools so that you are in a position to combat cyber threats and secure your enterprise. So let me start today's webinar by asking you this. Do you believe that your enterprise is secure? A seemingly simple question with a not so simple answer. So what would you do if you were faced today, like right now, faced with an attack in your organization? Do you have the right set of tools and a streamlined incident management process to handle the attack? So think about this for a moment and evaluate how well your enterprise is equipped to deal with such cyber attacks like ransomware. Do you believe your organization is secure, or would the attack take down your enterprise? So in today's IT security landscape, it is important to first take stock of the threats that are there and then identify which are applicable to your organization. And then most importantly, if you're in a position to mitigate them. This assessment of your security system is the first step to tackling cyber threats. Have a discussion with your team and management to assess your position. That is how you are poised to deal with a cyber attack and what you need to do to truly secure your enterprise. Right. So let us start by looking at a couple of security myths. We had actually conducted a survey contest last October during Halloween in a bid to break common misconceptions or myths about IT security. So this was a small online contest for Halloween that we'd done. And we wanted to break down or demystify a lot of myths that are there in IT security and common misconceptions that a lot of you might have. So the two biggest learnings from that survey was that number one, no organization is safe from cyber threats, meaning no business, however large or however small, can really call themselves truly secure from cyber threats. Because often we all think that attackers only target the big companies, they only target Fortune 500 companies, they only target the large firms across the globe. But the truth is, often because small companies do not have the security measures in place, they are the ones who fall victim to cyber attacks. So you can't really say that, oh, I just have 50 to 100 employees in my company, so I'm not going to be a victim to any cyber threat. The second thing that we learned was that the cost of a breach goes beyond data loss. And what this means is that often we think of a cyber threat or a data loss as something that is financial, that, okay, we had a network breach last quarter and that cost us, say, $50,000. But often the biggest concern with a data loss would be that you'd lose the trust of your customers. So yes, you'd have to pay a hefty compliance penalty. You'd have to pay a lot of money for recovery. But the biggest issue with a security breach is that you're going to lose the trust of your customers, because customers might be having, you might be storing the confidential data of your customers. And if that gets breached, you're obviously going to have a loss of trust. So of course, companies are realizing this. They are realizing that cyber threats are rampant and there is the need to increase the IT spending budget for security. So what is all this taught us essentially? We've learned that attack methods are constantly evolving, and while we are revamping our security measures, hackers themselves are coming up with advanced attack techniques and are still able to penetrate through our security solutions. So this is why we need a solution in addition to the many solutions that we are already using, and that is why I always say that preventive security solutions alone aren't going to be enough, and you need a special solution. So that is, in today's IT security landscape, you cannot just depend on a few security solutions, and you need a special solution in addition to all of these security solutions to be in a better position to mitigate attacks on your network. And this is where SIEM comes in. So SIEM stands for Security Information and Event Management, and it has become a must-have tool in any security operations center or a SOC. So broadly speaking, this entails a real-time analysis of different security events happening across your network. But let's not get too technical with the definitions and try to figure out a textbook definition for SIEM, or a lot of people say SIM. So let us more look at what an SIEM tool can do for you. So to put it very simply, an SIEM tool can give you answers for critical questions that you seek. So for example, you might want to know which were the critical files and folders that were modified yesterday. Or maybe you want to know which were your Active Directory accounts that were deleted. Or you might want to know which IP address is accessing your network the most. So answers to such questions and a lot more can be found using an SIEM tool. And how it works is it works on log data. Because now as administrators, you know how powerful your log data is, and device logs contain all the information about any particular event that is occurring in your enterprise network. And your machine generated log data contains the information that you need in order to understand exactly what is going on in your network. So whether it is your Windows event log data or the syslogs from your network devices, or maybe even the log data from your business critical applications like web servers and databases, all these logs contain valuable information and you need to extract them in order to truly understand what is going on in your network. So an SIEM tool essentially taps the power of the machine generated log data to do its thing. And the problem here is that several events would occur in your network during any given day. And most of these events, like say 99.9% of these events, would be routine events that don't really concern you. So this makes it very hard to detect an event or detect a threat amongst millions of log data. So this is sort of like looking for a needle in a haystack, and which is why continuous monitoring of your log data and the events occurring in your network is the key to ensuring network security. And that is what I meant in the previous slide, that you need a tool on top of all your other security solutions, which is what your SIEM tool is. Your SIEM tool can manage all your security solutions and also your critical systems, servers, and applications. This is why I usually say that a SIEM tool is the ideal solution for any security operations center. It gives you that extra visibility and the intelligence that you need to be in a better position to mitigate cyber attacks. And in case you're still not convinced and you're still wondering why you need a SIEM tool, if I were to give you the answer in one word, it would be for context. So context, you need context for security events occurring in your network, because independent solutions by themselves won't give you the information beyond what they are concerned with. What this means is that, say, an IDS IPS system or an endpoint security solution concerns itself only with its own functionality, and it doesn't really know what is happening in the rest of your network. So just a log from your firewall by itself might not give you enough information that you need in order to mitigate a cyber attack. I'll talk more about this in the next slide, where we are going to briefly look at how a SIEM tool works. So you can see here a rough outline of the entire process that a SIEM tool does in order to help you ensure your network is secure. And in that, the first part is the collection of log data. And I just told you in the previous slide that a SIEM tool runs on the log data from your network. So obviously the first step is to collect all the log data, the right logs from your right solutions, applications, and other servers, and feed them to your SIEM solution. So log collection essentially means getting the logs from your desired log sources into your SIEM solution and then parsing these log messages for analysis. The next step is what is known as event correlation, which means associating different events happening across your network and sort of trying to build a relationship between all these events. That is, you want to try and associate or link different events occurring in your network, because say many of these events by themselves might not be a cause of concern. Like say you have a fail logon in your network, that might be a routine event. Or say you have a firewall rule change, that might also be a routine event. But sometimes these events might happen together, say one after the other, and when they happen, that could raise a massive red flag that would require your immediate attention. So say, for example, to give you a very simple example, say you have several failed logons followed by a successful logon. Your SIM tool can correlate these set of events and help you detect that maybe someone was trying to guess a password and eventually guessed the password to carry out a brute force attack. So this is what I was talking about also in the previous slide when I said you need more context, because your firewall or your endpoint security solution is only going to concern itself with what its functionality is. So you need a master tool, which is what your SIEM solution is, in order to correlate events across security solutions, across your critical servers and applications, to give you more insights into what is going on in your network. And once it gathers this intelligence, the next step after correlating is, of course, alerting, which is the most critical part of an SIEM solution. Like, everything else means nothing unless you're going to get an alert when something bad happens. A SIM tool ensures that you are alerted in real time that, hey, this particular security event happened just now in my network. And then once you get the real-time alert, you can look into what happened and take the necessary reactive steps to handle the security incident. So that is the most important thing that we're trying to achieve with an SIEM solution, being alerted in real time for security events of interest. And the next step of an SIEM solution, or rather the SIEM process, would be the archival of the log data. And log archiving simply means that your SIM solution ought to archive the logs collected. The logs which have been collected and processed at the server need to be stored in a secure location. And the reason why we want to do this is because we want the logs to be in a safe location for the future in case we need to look at something again. Because a lot of the times companies are notified about a network breach maybe 1 or 2 months after it actually occurred. And often they are notified by a third-party vendor. So in case you are notified that a breach happened, say 1.5 months ago, where would you go to find out exactly what happened? You would obviously go and look at your system log data to find out exactly what happened on that given day. So this is where an SIEM tool can help you conduct a thorough forensic analysis. So you can backtrack a security incident and find out the exact root cause for that particular incident, and maybe if it's not too late, even ensure damage control. So in a sense, a SIM tool can not only help you detect and mitigate security attacks, but it can also help you or empower you to conduct a forensic investigation in case something does go wrong. And because sometimes we always talk about having an ideal solution that secures your network for sure, but often that is not the case, because if we actually have figured out IT security by now, we wouldn't really be hearing about attacks, would we? So this is in brief the process of SIEM, or rather how a SIM tool works. And if you're still not convinced why you need it, you also have a bonus. Your SIM tool ensures that you stay compliant with the many regulatory mandates that you might have to comply with. So you might, depending on your industry or depending on your region, you might have to comply with maybe SOX or FISMA or HIPAA. And a SIM tool helps you furnish audit reports for your auditors to ensure that your IT is compliant. So this is a rough working of SIEM. And obviously, I'm not going to just stop there. I'm going to give you a small use case so that I can really drive home the point. So I want to give you a simple use case, one that you are only too familiar with, which is the WannaCry ransomware attack. And the WannaCry ransomware attack, of course, wreaked havoc across the globe, affecting large organizations, including the NHS in the UK. So I'm sure you all know that a ransomware is a type of malware, but it's worse because it can gain control of your system and encrypt your data, like your files and folders, and then demand a ransom payment for the decryption of your own data. So in a sense, it sort of holds your systems at hostage. So when WannaCry happened, it broke out on the 12th of May, and it had affected almost, I think, 250,000 systems across the globe. And we first need to understand how WannaCry was able to carry out the attack. Because typically attacks follow a certain pattern, and if we understand one attack, say WannaCry, we'll be able to extend the same idea to mitigate other cyber attacks as well. So like any other cyber attack, WannaCry started to spread through phishing emails and websites. So maybe an unsuspecting user in your enterprise clicked on a suspicious link, an unknown source, and that ended up infecting his system with WannaCry. And then what happens is WannaCry goes on and encrypts his files and demands a ransom in Bitcoin for the decryption. But the biggest problem with WannaCry was that it had a worm component that could spread across your network. And what this means is that even if most of your users are aware of cyber risks and are usually careful when they surf the internet, all it takes is one user who mistakenly, say, gets affected by WannaCry, and your entire network is at risk. And how WannaCry did this was by it spread through a Windows vulnerability in the SMB protocol. So SMB, or the server message block, is the basic block of any file share or any network share in your organization. And a Windows vulnerability in the SMB was what WannaCry used in order to proliferate across your network. And Microsoft, in fact, released a patch to fix this vulnerability a couple of months before the attack. And yet, so many systems across the globe were using outdated software and were affected by the attack. So we'll go into more details on the working of WannaCry. And with regards to the vulnerability management, this is something that we'll be discussing in more detail in part 2 of our webinar series. So just a reminder that stay tuned and join us on the 3rd of August at the same time for learning more on the vulnerability side of it. So coming back to our example of WannaCry, let us look at how auditing and alerting can help you mitigate WannaCry and such cyber attacks. But before we move on to more details, it is first important to understand a couple of fundamental things about an attack. The first is how the attackers are able to carry out the attack. And for this, they of course use reported or unreported vulnerabilities in your systems, because that is how they can carry out any attack. And the second thing to understand is that attacks follow a certain pattern, meaning you can associate a set of events for a particular attack. To give you a very simple example, in a brute force attack, you can associate the fact that you'd have several failed logons followed by a successful logon. So that would be the attack pattern of a brute force attack. In the same way, this idea is extended to cyber attacks, where each attack follows a certain pattern, and being updated with the latest trends in cyber attacks can go a long way in helping you secure your enterprise. So let me talk about how auditing and alerting can help you with this. So like I said, attacks follow a certain pattern. So you're going to have a bunch of associated events for a particular attack. So if you know that these events are occurring in your network, you can be instantly alerted that this is the particular attack is happening on your organization. So for that, what a SIM tool can do for you is correlate events occurring in your network. It also can help you to track unauthorized processes or services installed. So if a particular cyber attack or a malware is getting installed in one of your systems, it's going to have a set of processes and services associated with it. Because after all, at the end of the day, a malware is going to be probably a .exe file. So while it proliferates, it's going to start a set of processes and services in your systems. And knowing what processes and services it starts can help you detect the attack based on the processes and services being installed. Auditing and alerting can also help you identify anomalous activity occurring in your network. And I told you how, say, 99% of the events occurring in your network are all routine events that don't really concern you for security. But the occasional time when an event is anomalous, meaning you might, say, have a sudden spike of failed logons in your network, that could identify that something is suspicious, something is up in your network. The fourth thing that auditing and alerting can help you with is file integrity monitoring. So here what a SIM tool can do for you is ensure that your critical files and folders are secure by auditing changes being made on it. So you can track things like the files created, deleted, the files that were modified, and even the permission changes made to the file. So in this way, you can secure your critical files and folders. And since ransomware specifically targets your files and folders, file integrity monitoring can help you boost the security of your files and folders. So all this put together will help you assess an attack and ensure that you are alerted in real time when anything suspicious happens in your network. So I'm going to give you a small demo on how I can set up an alert using a SIM tool to be alerted when WannaCry gets installed in one of my systems. And of course, the same concept can be extended to any other cyber attack. So what you see on the screen now is the set of associated events that occur during the proliferation of the WannaCry attack. So when a cyber attack, when there is a cyber attack outbreak, if you go to any tech website or any security website, you will learn about the attack pattern, because as the attack happens, different analysts across the world try to demystify the attack and find out exactly how it works so that you get the intelligence that you need to secure your network. So in fact, even if you come to blogs.manageengine.com, you'd often see a lot of articles on the latest set of vulnerabilities, the latest trends in the attacks that educate you on what you need to do in order to secure your network. So in the case of WannaCry, this is what was found about the attack. They found out that this particular service gets installed, this MSSEC SVC 2.0, and they also found out that WannaCry creates a process in your system, which is task.sche.exe, and it also makes a registry key modification so that even if you try to delete WannaCry, it still persists in your system. And of course, the one that we all know is the file encryption that WannaCry does, that it encrypts your files and folders to the .wncry format. So I know these set of events, and now I'm going to show you how using our SIM tool, we can set up an alert to be alerted for a WannaCry installation. So I'm just going to jump to my product. So this is ManageEngine Event Log Analyzer, which is a log management tool for SIEM. And what Event Log Analyzer does for you is it helps you secure your network. So we have a comprehensive SIEM tool called Log360, which combines Event Log Analyzer's functionality with two of our other products. In that, one of them is AD Audit Plus, which provides in-depth auditing for Active Directory, and the other is Cloud Security Plus, which does auditing for your public cloud. So these three solutions come to form Log360, which is a comprehensive SIEM tool. So for today's webinar, I'm going to show you how I can use the Event Log Analyzer component to set up an alert to detect the events associated with a WannaCry installation in any of my systems. So for this, I'm going to go to the alert section of our product. So I'm going to show you how I can add an alert profile so that I can be alerted for the events associated with the WannaCry installation. So the first step in adding an alert profile is giving it a name, of course, and I'm just going to call this WannaCry ransomware alert. So the next step is to set a severity for the alert, and here I can choose say high, medium or low, because maybe certain alerts I don't need to see immediately in my mailbox because it's enough maybe if I look at it in an audit report, but obviously something like WannaCry is going to be a high priority alert for me. The next thing I need to do is select a device or a group of devices for which I want the alert to be triggered. So I'm just going to go for the purpose of this demo with a Windows group which has all my Windows systems. And then comes the most important part of creating an alert, which is defining the alert criteria. So our product provides you with a bunch of predefined alerts, which essentially are events that commonly would be that administrators would commonly want to be alerted for. And then we also have a bunch of compliance alerts, which are specific for ensuring compliance mandates are met. And of course, we have custom alerts, which is what we're going to use today to create a WannaCry ransomware alert. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create a condition that says event ID equals 601 and 4097. So these are the two Windows log event IDs associated with a service getting installed in any of my systems. And in case you're wondering how I knew these numbers, all you need to do is go to Microsoft TechNet and find out the event ID for the event that concerns you. So I'm going to continue to build this alert criteria. So I've got event ID equals 601 and 4097. And I'm going to say service name equals MSSCVSEC. So I'm going to go with MSSECSVC. And instead of saying service name equals, I'm just going to go with service name contains. So anytime any service that contains MSSECSVC in its name gets installed in any of my Windows systems, I'm going to be getting a real-time alert notification. Now, I also told you that there is a process that gets started associated with the WannaCry attack. So I'm going to also include that in my alert profile. So just like I have and service name contains MSSECSVC, I'm going to go with the logical OR operator and say process name contains task CHE .exe. I'm going to just go with just task CHE since I've gone with the contains logical operator. So at this point, we've got two event IDs. And in fact, let me just add the event ID for a process creation, which is 4688. So what the alert criteria at the moment means is that anytime an event ID of 601 or 4097 or 4688 gets logged in any of my systems, and either a service name or that contains MSSECSVC gets installed, or a process that contains task CHE gets started, anytime when this logic occurs in any of my systems, I'm going to get a real-time alert notification. Let me also add the registry key change in the alert profile. So the event ID concerning with a registry value modification is 4657. And I'm also going to add this to my alert criteria. So I'm going to go with OR. And in the field, I'm going to choose the field object name, which is where the registry key name gets stored. So I'm going to go with OR object name contains task CHE. So this is the final alert criteria, which essentially says when any of these event IDs get logged, that is 601 or 4097 or 4688 or 4657, and either the service name MSSECSVC gets started, or the process name task CHE gets started, or a registry key value that contains task CHE gets modified, I will get a real-time alert notification. So at this point, all I need to do is choose my mode of notification, which can either be an email or an SMS alert, or I can also go one step ahead and run a custom script upon the alert getting triggered. So what this means is that I can proactively mitigate the threat, because as the alert gets triggered, our SIM solution triggers a custom script that goes and say kills the process or kills the service. So we give a bunch of predefined templates for scripts, and you can modify this according to your requirement. So if you have, we're not going to go into too many details on exactly how we can configure a product, but in case you have any questions on how this is done, you can contact our support team as well. So in a sense, not only can I get a real-time alert notification for a WannaCry ransomware attack, but I can also automate a script to be run upon the alert getting triggered. so that I can proactively mitigate the attack as well. So that was with handling WannaCry using Event Log Analyzer. I'm not going to go into more details about our product. We try to restrict the webinar to be a knowledge share. And in case you want any further product queries, you can always contact our support team offline. So we saw how we used a SIM tool to mitigate WannaCry, and the same concept can be extended to any other cyber attack as well. So it's very important for security administrators and analysts to stay up to date with the latest trends and attack patterns of the different cyber attacks, because we know that cyber threats are evolving. So we need to ensure that we have the knowledge of the latest trends so that we can configure our security solutions to mitigate those threats as well. But apart from that, there are a certain set of best practices that you can employ in your enterprise to mitigate cyber attacks. So we saw the auditing and alerting functionality of the SIEM tool, but here's a look at some other best practices that you can employ in your organization. And the first step in that is to educate your users. So we saw how ransomware started off as a phishing email or a phishing website. So if the users actually knew of the risks of downloading unknown attachments, the attack could have been prevented at that stage itself. You wouldn't have to deal with anything else beyond that. So ensure that all your users are aware of the cyber risks and the dire consequences of getting hit by a cyber attack, and that itself can go a long way in helping you mitigate different cyber attacks. The second best practice is to secure your vulnerabilities, because an attack can't be carried out if there isn't a vulnerability in your system that can be exploited. And this is why, of course, we made it a two-part series. And in part 2 of the webinar series, we will look at how you can easily detect and fix vulnerabilities in your systems through efficient patch management. So you should understand here that your IT security is a very complex space, and you can never look at it as having one single solution to do everything for you and help you achieve security in your enterprise. And the third best practice is to ensure that your softwares are all updated and running the latest versions. So this is, of course, an age-old saying in IT, but you need to ensure that this is done, because often due to excess workload, admins might tend to skip software updates. But often software updates fix security loopholes. So you need to ensure that all the systems in your enterprise are running the latest versions of software. And the final best practice is to back up your critical data. A lot of experts reiterate that in case you get affected by ransomware, you should not pay the hackers, because in case you do pay them, that only encourages them to create more such attacks across the globe. So one way that we can, in case we get affected by ransomware, one way that we can prevent paying the hackers is to back up our critical data. So say our data gets encrypted, we just simply reformat our hard disk and reload our backed up data. And the fifth bonus best practice is, of course, security auditing and alerting, which is what we looked at today. So with that, I'm coming to a close for today's webinar. And I just want to leave you with this one thing, that you should understand that IT security is a really complex space, and there is no single solution or a single thing that can help you achieve IT security. Rather, you need to equip your IT with the right set of tools and implement a set of best practices, and also have an efficient, streamlined process to manage incidents. So next week, we'll be looking at how you can proactively fix your vulnerabilities to boost your security profile. And now we are available for answering any of your questions on the live chat. So if you have any questions with regards to today's webinar, you can ask them on the live chat, and we'll try to answer them right away. And of course, if you want to carry forward any questions offline, you can contact us at me-connect@manageengine.com. And of course, for more information, you can visit www.manageengine.com to learn more about our IT security product offerings. Right, so we've been getting a few interesting questions, and I thought I'd share a few of them with you. And one user asks, does this SIEM software work independently of any other firewalls or other security solutions being currently used? And the answer to that is rather the SIM solution is used on top of your firewall and other security solutions. So like I said, you would have firewalls, your endpoint security, and more such solutions. And you have one single solution that acts as a master to all these solutions and analyzes logs from your firewalls, your IDS, IPS, your routers, your endpoint security. It correlates all the events occurring across them to give you more intelligence into what is going on in your network. So it doesn't work independently. Rather, it needs the firewall and IDS to do its thing. It needs the log data and the information from your firewalls and IDS, IPS, and your other security solutions in order to do its thing. We also have another question from a user, which is, are the procedures you discussed specific to ransomware, or can they be used generally for all malware? And the answer to that is, of course, I just gave the example of the WannaCry ransomware, but the same idea extends to other cyber attacks as well. So this is why it is really important for all of you to be educated on the latest trends and the latest attack patterns. And this gives you the information that you need to configure your SIM tool to get the alert for that particular cyber attack. So yes, this procedure for WannaCry extends to all the other types of malware as well. So we've also got another question from a user, Prateep, and Prateep asks, what are the possible vulnerabilities that causes an attack? So if you could be a little bit more specific, I can give you a more detailed answer. But to put it very simply, things like outdated software and unpatched systems is what creates vulnerabilities. And these are the vulnerabilities that attackers are going to exploit in order to carry out any of their attacks. So by detecting and fixing the vulnerabilities, say by patching your systems and ensuring that they're all running the latest software, that will go a long way in mitigating cyber threats. So we've got another interesting question from our user Pranav, who asks what types of companies should use this software for sure. And like I said in the beginning, we have a myth that we think that hackers are only going to target big companies, that hackers are only going to target, say, Fortune 500 companies. But the truth is that attacks happen to everyone. And in fact, more often than not, small and medium businesses, because they have invested lesser in IT security, they end up falling victim to a cyber attack. So pretty much in today's IT security landscape, every single organization, however big or small, must equip themselves with the right tools, and that includes SIEM, to truly be able to secure their network and mitigate cyber attacks. So we've got another question from Pranav, which is our tool secure? Would it secure our system if the hacker has physical reach to our system? So one of the things that we need to understand here is that very often a hacker need not be someone from the outside. So very often when we think of cyber security threats rather, we always think of it as an external thing. But a lot of in the last few years, the number of insider threats and insider related security breaches have been on the increase. So if a user goes rogue, then you're going to have a security breach from someone within your organization. So for that, with Log 360, with the AD Audit Plus component, you can ensure Active Directory auditing and also user monitoring and privileged user monitoring, so that even if one of your internal employees has access to your systems, you can track that behavior as well. So yes, to answer your question, our SIM tool can also help you mitigate both internal as well as external threats.
Are there any more questions? We had quite a few interesting questions here, and we are also answering some of the questions via private chat. So, if there are any more questions, you can feel free to write to us at me-connect@manageengine.com, and you can log into www.manageengine.com for more details. Do not forget to tune into part 2 of this webinar series, Preventing Attacks. It will be happening on the 3rd of August at 2:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GST, and 5 p.m. SCT. It will be handled by Giridhara Ram, a product specialist for Desktop Central. All right, so that brings us to the end of this webinar session. We hope you all found this very valuable. Have a great day. Thank you.